Discover how a delivery girl transformed an entire company by espousing 9 programmers in front of their peers. Mia sprinted through the streets, a pizza box balanced precariously on her thigh, her heart racing not just from the effort but from the thrill of the ride. She was known as the determined delivery girl, a beacon of positivity for her small town, always running errands and delivering hope to her friends drowning in low-wage jobs. At just 22, with a scrappy determination inherited from her single mother, Mia believed in a brighter future for her family and her younger brother. One ordinary afternoon, while making a delivery to a local tech startup, she overheard something that sent chills down her spine. A group of 9 programmers burst into laughter, their voices sharp and condescending. They clinked their hefty bonuses together like trophies. The laughter echoed in her ears as they went on to mock the delivery staff, calling them mere errands, in an almost theatrical disdain. Mia felt a searing heat rise to her cheeks, a wave of indignation coiling tightly in her chest. Was that what they thought of her and her friends? Just a snack in their lavish, gilded lives, days turned into weeks. Mia couldn't shake off that moment. It haunted her like a shadow. She discovered the truth: the tech company flourished because of hard-working service staff, yet they were obliterated by a wall of indifference. Her mother's mounting bills loomed like storm clouds, dragging her down into a pit of worry. But when she recalled the laughter god, it made her blood boil. Was it worth just her own fight for success, or was it time to ignite a spark for her entire community? Mia's path led her to Gerald, a wise community leader with a kind heart. Their conversations stirred something deep within her. Gerald's tales of brave souls pushing for fair wages made her feel alive. Mia started documenting the unethical practices of the programmers. Over coffee, her neighbors gathered, sharing their stories of struggle, fear, solidarity, and hope. Those late-night talks breathed life into a new idea. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the tech company gearing up for a big corporate event, Mia felt the weight of her mission intensify. Armed with her evidence, she plotted to confront the programmers in front of all their peers. This was no longer just about exposing the contempt of one group, it was about empowering her entire town to reclaim their dignity. As she lay awake at night, her thoughts raced. What would they say? Would they hear her? Would they change? Then, the moment of truth arrived. In a crowded meeting room, her heart hammered in her chest as she stepped up to face an audience that had belittled her for far too long. The glaring eyes of the programmers flickered with surprise and disbelief. Mia took a deep breath as she revealed their actions, revealing the disregard for the hardworking folks that kept the local economy ticking. The tension in the room was electric. Time seemed to stretch thin as murmurs erupted. As she spoke, arm raised in defiance, she knew this wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. Would the truth reshape their minds or just deepen the chasms within their hearts? The thrumming silence left everyone gasping for breath, unity brewing in the air, as the first seeds of change began to take root. The very people whose lives they dismissed. Mia looked across the room, meeting the eyes of colleagues and fellow delivery workers who had come to support her. There was Jason, the local mechanic with grease-stained hands, holding his breath, Maria, the waitress juggling multiple jobs, silent but hopeful, and even the elderly Mr. Thompson, who used to run the general store before corporate giants drove him out. The room pulsed with an electrifying blend of tension and hope, but would her truth resonate beyond the walls of this conference room? The murmurings intensified as one of the programmers shifted, visibly uncomfortable under the weight of Mia's words. They had likely thought they were untouchable, shielded by a corporate bubble, but today, that wall was beginning to crack. As Mia painted a picture of their lives, rich in struggle but also in dignity, she felt a warmth wash over her. The truth was a powerful ally. She spoke of late nights, long hours, and the relentless effort of the service workers who kept everything ticking. She heard gasps, saw brows furrowing, and felt the walls of apathy beginning to crumble. Then, she made her boldest move yet. "You cannot forget us. We are the lifeblood of this community. Your success is built on our backs. If you want to be better, it starts now." She paused, scanning the assembly, looking for a flicker of recognition or understanding, anything that would signal the beginning of a change point. One programmer shifted nervously, finally breaking the silence. "Mia, we didn't mean to imply," he stammered, but Mia cut him off. "Didn't he mean to?" Your laughter echoed in every corner of this town. "You think those jokes mean nothing? They do. They hurt us." Each word held the weight of countless unspoken truths, every syllable a bridge toward empathy. Several heads nodded, some murmurs turned into whispers of solidarity. The door to awareness was inching open. But then she saw others cross their arms, a frown settled on their faces. Some were refusing to step into the light. "What's it gonna be?" chided a man seated towards the back, his voice thick with skepticism. "You think pulling this stunt will change anything? You think you can embarrass us into understanding?" Mia felt the sting of that question, remembering her deep-seated fears. What if this indeed rallied them further against her message? Yet, she grasped the edge of the podium, drawing strength from every person gathered here. She owed it not just to herself but to them. "Maybe the change doesn't start with you. Maybe it starts with me," Mia challenged, her voice steady and unwavering. "But for this to matter, it has to start with all of us." The murmurs grew louder, energizing the crowd. Some programmers glanced uneasily at each other, while the service staff leaned in closer, inspired by Mia's fiery resolve. But just as a glimmer of unity flickered in the air, the company's CEO, a towering figure in a crisp suit, pushed past the crowd towards Mia. "What gives you the right to stand here, to attack my employees? You think this is how change happens?" His voice boomed, but Mia felt her heart race. Perhaps this was the moment of reckoning. Would she collapse under pressure, or would she rise to the challenge? "I have every right. We all do," she declared, every fiber of her being igniting with passion. The room trembled with anticipation, as every eye turned toward her. In that electric moment, Mia realized what was at stake and how deeply her voice mattered. The room pulsed with possibilities, but would they take that leap together? The silence that followed dragged on, thick with tension. She could feel the collective breath of the crowd. Would they fight for her, rally behind this cause? Or would the bridge she built dissolve into empty insults once more? And as the atmosphere shifted, Mia prepared for whatever came next. Because in the heart of that silence, change was a fragile seed waiting to blossom, but it needed belief to bloom. What choice would the programmers make? Would this moment define them, or would they turn back toward ignorance? The CEO's glare bore down on Mia, his blue eyes sharp as ice. She could feel the tension hanging in the air like a thick fog, suffocating and palpable. He towered over her, and she was acutely aware of the fear gnawing at her stomach, but she stood firm. The moment was hers, and she wasn't about to let it slip away. "Every day I wake up to deliver pizzas, to deliver hope, to deliver dignity," she continued, her voice stronger now, more assured. "I chose this job because it matters. But there is more to deliver than just meals. We're delivering a message, one that screams for respect. Are you going to keep ignoring it?" The murmurs in the crowd swelled again, and Mia caught a glimpse of Jason nodding fervently in the front row, his brow now unfurrowed, a look of determination growing. Maria's eyes shone with unshed tears. Was it finally happening? Was she finally making them understand? The CEO, however, wasn't finished. He leaned forward, his voice now dangerously low and menacing. "You think this is just some game? This is our livelihood, our company. You can't just walk in here and demand change. What do you know about running a business?" "I know that every business needs a soul," Mia shot back, her heart racing, and you've stripped away ours. Your numbers and profits can't replace the people who make this community thrive. That quiet moment had transformed, electric now, as the programmers shifted in their seats. She searched for faces, willing them to understand. A younger programmer, Molly, had leaned closer, her expression now softening as if she was finally seeing the bigger picture. The room felt alive. Suddenly, the back door swung open, and in strode the HR manager, a look of urgency on her face. "I couldn't stay away," she announced, her voice cutting through the escalating tension. "Mia, I want you to know I've heard every word." Gasps echoed through the conference room. This wasn't just any employee, she had a reputable voice. "There's so much that's been wrong in how we interact with our staff. It needs to change." Mia's heart flared with renewed hope. "You see? It's about us all coming together. We need the courage to listen, to truly listen. Empathy, not just profit, should guide our direction. You can't lead from fear." The CEO huffed, his mask of authority slipping just a bit. "This is a workplace, not a charity. But it is a community." Mia countered, with vigor. "We are people first, workers second. When you dehumanize us, you rob this business of its potential. Can't you see that?" Her impassioned plea lingered, and for the first time, Mia thought the unthinkable. Could they actually be willing to listen? One by one, the programmers began to shift in their chairs, a flicker of awareness igniting. Some began to nod in agreement, whispers of "she's right" rippling through the group. But not everyone was convinced. A woman with dark sunglasses leaned back, arms crossed defiantly. "What's the end game, Mia? What are you hoping to achieve?" In that moment, Mia felt a pang of uncertainty. Everything hung in the balance. It wasn't just about her anymore. She was fighting for every person who had ever felt unheard or invisible in their workplace. "It's about a change in culture, a new dawn for our community," she said, her heart pounding. "Can we not build a workplace that celebrates everyone? One where our contributions matter, where dignity is the expectation, not the exception?" The crowd buzzed with anticipation, yet the CEO glared at her with disdain. The stakes had never felt higher. As the silence blanketed the room once more, Mia felt that fragile seed of change. For the first time, it felt like it had the chance to take root, but just then, a threatening shadow loomed over them all. "Is that really what you want?" the CEO asked, his voice low and dangerous. "Be careful of what you wish for, Mia. The truth can backfire." Mia held her breath. What would that mean? What consequences would they all face? Was she ready for what came next? Mia felt the weight of the CEO's words pressing down on her, like a storm cloud ready to burst. She scanned the room, noticing the hesitance in some of her colleagues' faces. Would they turn back now? Would fear win? But behind the CEO, the HR manager stood tall, her resolve unwavering. "What he's saying is meant to intimidate you, Mia. But we all know what's at stake. If we can't speak our truth here, in this room, we'll never make it out there." The crowd shifted again, murmurs igniting like embers turning into flames. It wasn't just about Mia anymore, it was about all of them now. The programmers, the delivery workers, the janitors, all of their stories woven together like threads in a tapestry. Mia looked at the woman in dark sunglasses, this time searching for understanding instead of confrontation. "Look, this isn't just a dream, it's a necessity. We need to build each other up instead of tearing each other down. We can become stronger together." "Stronger?" the woman scoffed, although her expression seemed to soften. "And if it fails? What then?" The challenge hung in the air like the electricity before a lightning strike. "Failure teaches us," Mia replied, the truth spilling from her lips. "It's the struggle that brings growth. We have no room for fear anymore. The time for standing up is now." The CEO shifted, his irritation growing. You talk about community as if it will magically fix our problems. But this isn't a fairy tale. You want culture? Fine. But with culture comes accountability and consequences. Are you ready for that? Mia's stomach tightened. Accountability meant risk, and she couldn't be sure how far they'd be willing to go. But if they wanted ambition without hard work, that wouldn't last long. We will never know unless we try. She urged, her voice cracking just a little. Imagine showing up to work each day, knowing your input matters, knowing you're valued. That's what a committed community looks like. Isn't that worth fighting for? Suddenly, Jason stood up from his seat, his posture resolute. I'm with Mia. If we can't align our values with our actions, what are we doing here? Let us stop pretending everything is fine when we know it's not. A low ripple of applause followed, tentatively at first, but it quickly grew. The spark was igniting. Maria's eyes widened with excitement. We'll stand together, she proclaimed, emboldened. We've had enough. Let us speak out. The energy shifted again, a collective heartbeat of determination swelling in the room. The atmosphere crackled with rebellion, and Mia felt a wave of hope surge through her veins. Let us be clear, the CEO finally spoke, his voice icy. You might think this is your moment. But be prepared, change won't come without a price. What price? Mia retorted, a mixture of fear and courage fueling her resolve. It was too late to back down. We're willing to face the consequences. What about you? Enough! He roared, his voice echoing against the walls. The anger in his eyes was unmistakable, yet Mia felt her own fear melting away. And as surprising as it was, the once defiant sunglasses-wearing woman finally dropped her arms. A flicker of solidarity sparked in her gaze. I want to be heard too. What do we do next? Mia's heart raced. They were at a turning point. Together, they could drive this change. But how far were they willing to go? As the murmurings continued, she realized this was just the beginning. What would be the next step in their fight? Would they truly unite their voices for a new beginning? She took a deep breath, ready to lead them forward into the unknown. Mia stood taller, her heart pounding like a drum. The room buzzed with energy, voices overlapping in a swell of excitement and uncertainty. We need to decide on our next steps, she pressed, urgency threading through her words. Every voice matters, and we can't just sit back now. We owe it to ourselves and to each other to take action. Jason nodded, his brow furrowed in thought. What about forming a committee? A group dedicated to voicing our concerns and pushing for change? We could collect stories and experiences from everyone here. It would unify our perspectives. Murmurs of approval rippled through the crowd, lifting Mia's spirits. Yes. Maria chimed in, raising her hand. We need real evidence of what's happening in this workplace. Let us gather data, testimonies, whatever it takes. Together we can show how change is not just necessary, it's urgent. But the CEO's voice cut through the excitement like a knife. And you think an amateur committee will be able to challenge me? You think you're ready for a fight with the board? Mia's heart sank for a moment, but then a flame of defiance ignited within her. Why not? She shot back, her voice steady. If we stay silent, nothing will change. We've been treated like numbers, but we're human beings with valuable insights. You underestimate our strength. The woman in the sunglasses nodded, a flicker of determination in her eyes. We can't keep letting fear dictate our choices. We owe it to this company and ourselves to stand up. I want to share my experiences too. The crowd erupted into energetic chatter, voices rising with enthusiasm and trepidation. Ideas began to pour like rain. Some suggested creating an anonymous survey for everyone's input, while others talked about a town hall meeting to address their issues head-on. The blend of optimism and anxiety crackled in the air. Mia felt her pulse quicken. This was the essence of community forming right before her eyes, not just bravery from one, but the collective courage of many. As plans took shape, her thoughts jumped ahead. What if they could actually create change? What if their voices united could ripple out and transform the entire company culture? But how would they approach the board? What if they faced backlash? Doubts nibbled at her resolve. Listen, Mia interjected, a calming authority rising to the surface. Let us remember this isn't about rebellion for the sake of chaos. It's about accountability and growth. We're not here to tear anything down, we're here to build up a better place to work. A wave of agreement washed over the group. She could sense it, the shift from fear to hope. They were ready to back her up. Just as Mia was about to capture that moment of unity, the door to the conference room swung open. The sudden intrusion cut through the fervor. A trio of managers entered, their expressions a mixture of confusion and curiosity. "What's happening in here?" one of them asked, a hint of annoyance lacing their tone. Mia exchanged glances with her colleagues, a moment of stillness settling over the crowd. Would they continue their discussion openly? Or retreat and suppress their desires to speak out? A decision loomed on the horizon, a point of no return. Mia's heart raced. This was it. They had an audience now. Could they hold their ground? She took a deep breath, aware that whatever she said next might change everything. "It's time for us to be heard," Mia declared, every word deliberate. "And we won't back down." But as her voice steadied again, the reality of her words settled. Would they still stand together when the stakes got higher? Would they risk it all? The weight of that potential loomed like clouds over a brightening sky. Would this unity lead them to the old comfort zone or into brave new territory? She could feel the tide turning. Their journey was only just beginning. But at what cost would they fight for their voices to be truly heard? Mia felt her heart pounding louder than before, the tension almost tangible in the air. The eyes of her colleagues turned to her, filled with a mix of hope, fear, and anticipation. She knew this was a defining moment, one that could either propel them toward change or drown them in silence. The managers lingered at the door, their arms crossed and expressions skeptical. "This isn't a game," one of them sneered, stepping forward. "I suggest you all return to your desks and forget whatever wild ideas you've been discussing." The collective breath the group held felt suffocating. Mia locked eyes with Jason, then Maria. They needed to stand strong, to show they wouldn't be intimidated. If they wavered now, everything they had built would crumble. "Respectfully," Mia said, her voice steady, "we're not going back. We're having a conversation about the changes we desperately need in this workplace." She felt a spark of empowerment deep within her, igniting her words. The murmurs among her colleagues grew louder, a wave of agreement washing over the gathered crowd. Jason jumped in, "We're not asking. We're demanding an end to the silence." His voice rallied the group like a band tuning up for a concert, ready to strike the first chord. The managers exchanged incredulous looks, uncertain of how to react. "You believe a few complaints will change anything?" The same manager scoffed, dismissing them with a wave of his hand. But the crowd wouldn't let his tone dim their resolve. "Yes," Maria yelled, her voice ringing clear. "It's about time we addressed the problems, about time we stop being afraid of the consequences." Mia could see the resolve solidifying in the group. "We deserve to have our voices heard," she added, her heart racing not from fear, but from exhilaration. They were stronger together. This was the essence of unity. Different aspirations echoed through the room. Nods and whispers transformed into a resolute chorus. "Let us go forward with our committee," Jason said, his voice unwavering. "Let us collect testimonies not only for us but for everyone. People are suffering in silence." Maria pointed out, her eyes glistening. "We need to represent those who can't speak up, who are too afraid to lose their jobs. Imagine what change we could cause." Suddenly, a hand shot up in the back. It was the woman in sunglasses again, a determined look on her face. And we can take it further. Let us write letters to board members. Let us share our stories on platforms outside this company. We must make it known that we won't tolerate the status quo. The managers shifted uncomfortably. They were clearly losing control of the narrative. Mia edged closer to the forefront, emboldened by the ripple of support behind her. We're not doing this for our individual benefit, we're doing this for the future of everyone who deserves respect and recognition. The managers looked at one another, their silence betraying their uncertainty. Mia could feel the momentum shifting, like a tide turning. She took a step forward, locking her gaze with the nearest manager. You underestimate us. We are ready to fight for what's right. This isn't just about you and your board anymore, it's about every single person in this room with dreams and goals. Skepticism lingered in the air as Mia's declaration hung between them. She felt her confidence surge, but beneath it lay the gnawing doubt. What could they truly achieve? Would this unity survive the storm that was sure to follow? Are you all in? She shouted, her arms raising as if trying to catch the swell of courage flowing through the crowd. Yes. They shouted back, their voices harmonizing in a powerful wave of determination. The energy felt electrifying, almost palpable, but just as euphoria washed over them, Mia wondered if they understood the weight of what lay ahead. Would they really be prepared to battle the entrenched powers, with all their resources and connections? The door slammed shut, and a sense of finality set in. They were on this path now, standing tall against the currents of fear and resistance. But would solidarity be enough to shift the tides in their favor? Mia's heartbeat quickened as she faced the unknown. Their journey was beginning, and the cost was yet to be determined. Would they find the strength to push forward, or would they crumble under pressure? What awaited them on the other side? Only time would tell. Mia stood in the now silent room, surveying the faces around her. The adrenaline that had surged moments before was beginning to fade, replaced by a tangible weight of reality. They had spoken out, but what came next? How would they transform this bold act of rebellion into genuine change? Jason exchanged nervous glances with her. Now what? He whispered, that first flicker of uncertainty creeping into his voice. Mia could feel her resolve rippling like a fragile thread, ready to snap if they didn't fortify it with a plan. Right, we need a strategy, she declared firmly, feeling the urgency radiate from the group. We can't just shout demands into the void and hope it works. A sense of purpose enveloped her again as she thought of the lives intertwined with their fight. Maria chimed in, her voice steady. I think we should create a list of issues we want to address. We'll document experiences and frustrations, make it official. Mia nodded, appreciating Maria's clarity. And we need to establish a timeline for when we'll present our concerns to management. If we can show them our unity and the overwhelming response, they'll have no choice but to listen. The woman in sunglasses, whose name Mia still didn't know, stood up again. What about reaching out to local media? If we can share our story with the public, it would add pressure. We've seen the power of social media before. It can be a game changer. Murmurs of agreement surged through the room. Everyone was beginning to see the bigger picture. Mia felt their hope transforming into a shared vision. Let us create a social media campaign. We can gather support online from others who have faced similar issues. Yes. Jason shouted, a fire igniting in his eyes. We could use a hashtag, something that speaks to our movement. Voices together, Maria suggested. It's simple and powerful. As they brainstormed, Mia's heart swelled at the sight of her colleagues fervently exchanging ideas. Gone were the days of fear and uncertainty. They were evolving together, painting a future rooted in courage, but soon, uncertainty crept back in as Mia recalled the weight of their mission. What if it doesn't work? The thought tumbled in her mind like stones rolling down a hill. What if they retaliate? They have the power to silence us. They could isolate anyone who speaks out. The energy in the room dimmed at her words. She could feel the collective breath hitching as they pondered the possibility of backlash. Maria reached for Mia's hand, grounding her anxiety. But what's the alternative? To stay silent? We haven't been living, we've been existing. This is our chance to reclaim our narrative. Her words struck something deep within Mia. They had all faced the oppressive weight of a workplace that stifled joy and creativity. It raised a collective flame inside them. As they honed their ideas, the atmosphere shifted again, invigorated by hope. Plans took shape, moments of laughter punctuated the seriousness, and an unprecedented camaraderie solidified. They had stepped into a storm, but they would weather it together. At the end of the meeting, Mia felt lighter, the shadows that had once clouded her heart releasing their grip. Let us reconvene on Friday to finalize our plans. Spread the word and gather testimonies. As the group began dispersing, Mia noticed her colleagues' faces shining with determination. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was a text from her best friend. "You okay? Heard some murmurs about a meeting at your office. What is going on?" Mia paused, staring at the screen. A mixture of emotions tumbled through her: anxiety, excitement, a sprinkle of fear. She knew they would be making waves. How many people out there could they inspire? But the moment quickly morphed into unease. What if those murmurs turned to something darker? Just then, a shadow fell across her, and she turned to see one of the managers standing just outside the door, a hard look on his face. "You think you can change things around here?" he asked, his tone dripping with disdain. Mia's stomach tightened, her heart racing as she faced this challenge head-on. "Yes," she answered, her voice steady despite the fluttering dread. "And if you're not willing to listen, we'll make sure others hear our story." His expression shifted, an unsettling mixture of anger and surprise crossing his features before he turned and walked away. Mia felt invigorated, yet she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Would they be prepared for what was to come? The stakes were rising, and her pulse quickened at the thought. How far would they need to go to stand firm against the tide? There was so much at stake, and the fight was just getting started. The next day dawned with an electric hush. The air felt charged with anticipation, thick enough to cut. Mia arrived at work to find her colleagues gathered in small clusters, hushed whispers erupting into sharp bursts of nervous laughter. She could sense the shift. The atmosphere was heavy with hope and apprehension. As Mia approached the break room, Jason pulled her aside, excitement bubbling in his eyes. "Did you see the post? It already has hundreds of likes." He held up a phone, the screen aglow with a flurry of comments and shares. "Wow, that's incredible." Mia's heart raced. The hashtag had taken off faster than they ever imagined. But with that success came a gnawing anxiety. "Have you seen any negative comments?" Jason frowned, scrolling through the responses. "Not yet. I think people are just excited to see us standing up." "Yeah, but they'll come. They always do." She sighed, suddenly aware of the weight on her shoulders growing heavier. They weren't just echoing a call for change, they were calling for accountability, making themselves targets in a way they had never been before. As the day moved forward, Mia encountered nods of solidarity from other workers, words of encouragement whispered in hallways. It warmed her heart. But in the back of her mind, the manager from yesterday lurked like a dark cloud, a reminder of the risks they were taking. At lunch, she gathered with Maria and a few others at their usual spot. "We really need to plan for the backlash," she said, breaking off a piece of her sandwich. "What if they call us in for a meeting? What if we face consequences?" "They can't silence everyone," Maria said defiantly, her hands gripping the table as if to anchor them all. "If we stand united, they won't have the power to shut us down." "Right, but it's easier said than done." Mia chewed her lip, thoughts racing. What if they target people within our group? What if someone gets fired? We need to have a plan for that. An uncomfortable stillness settled over them. The laughter that usually accompanied their lunches faded, and a shared unease stretched between them like a taut wire. "I think we can prepare a support system," Jason suggested, breaking the silence. "Be there for each other when the consequences come. Stand by those who need it." Mia's heart lifted slightly. "Yes. If we can create a network that supports anyone feeling isolated, it'll send a strong message. We can't just draw attention to issues without providing each other a shield." "Exactly." Maria brightened at that. "We can put resources in place, like a buddy system or a hotline, even a safe space for anyone who feels threatened." Inspired, they spent the rest of their lunch bouncing ideas off one another. The conversation sparked more life, igniting their camaraderie. They turned into brainstorming sessions about sketches, infographics, and storytelling. But the exuberance faded again when Mia checked her phone. A notification flashed across the screen. It was from a colleague outside their circle, a post shared with snide remarks about their campaign, calling it childish and naive. The weight of judgment settled heavily. "Look at this," she showed Maria before passing the phone to Jason. Gasps filled the space as they read the negative comments below. "Don't let it get to you. Trolls just want to distract us." Maria insisted, but Mia could see that anger flickering in her eyes. Jason sighed, "We can't let them get to us. They're scared of our movement." Mia exhaled slowly, feeling the wave of doubt wash over her again. "Yeah, but it's easy to say that when you know they won't target you personally. We face the real risk." Just then, a loud voice echoed down the hallway. It was the manager again, flanked by others. They were striding toward them like a battalion, a sense of authority surrounding their march. At that moment, the knot in Mia's stomach tightened. This was it. Were they prepared for the storm that was about to break? Would their resolve hold strong against an unyielding tide? "What do we do?" she whispered to her friends, a knot forming in her throat. "Be ready," Jason replied with a fierce glint in his eyes. "Together." And as they squared their shoulders, the realization dawned, the true test was just beginning, and they would need each other now more than ever. Mia took a deep breath, standing tall beside her friends. The moment they had all been waiting for was here, but when lines were drawn, would they be strong enough to hold the ground? The manager stormed into the break room, flanked by two members of HR, their faces stoic and commanding. A wave of silence swept through the group, tension palpable like the crackling air before a summer storm. Mia felt her heart race, every instinct screaming to stand firm, but doubt crept in the corners of her mind. "Gather round," the manager barked, his voice slicing through the air, slicing through the brief moment of camaraderie like a knife. Mia's stomach dropped. This was it. Their colleagues slowly formed a semicircle, like moths drawn to a flickering flame, but inside she felt anything but bright. She exchanged glances with Jason and Maria, silently communicating her fear and resolve. Together, they stepped forward. "There's been some talk," the manager began, narrowing his eyes at Jason, "about dissatisfaction with company policies." His tone dripped with veiled contempt. "Let's address what's been happening online." Mia's breath hitched. They had turned the spotlight on them, exposing them in a way they hadn't anticipated. She braced herself, knowing this wasn't just focus on the campaign, this was about them as individuals. The manager continued, "We cannot allow childish antics to undermine our work environment. All of you should reconsider the choices you make on public platforms." He looked at Mia, as if daring her to defend herself. Jason stepped forward, his voice steady, "We're just trying to advocate for fair treatment, for everyone here." The trembling in his hands evidenced his nerves, but the fire in his eyes illuminated his determination. The manager scoffed, "Fair treatment doesn't include throwing tantrums on social media." Dismissive laughter erupted from some in HR. Each giggle landed like stones in Mia's heart. "We're not throwing tantrums," Maria countered, voice rising above the laughter. We're bringing attention to issues that matter. Issues that affect our workplace every single day. Her fists clenched in frustration. Attention? Or chaos? The manager leaned forward, his presence overwhelming. He looked like an imposing giant, overshadowing the group. Enough. Mia finally managed, her voice rising above the confrontation, her resolve blooming amidst fear. It's time to listen. Our voices have as much right here as yours do. We want change, and we're not going to stop until we see it. Silence fell, a stunned stillness where even the buzzing fluorescent lights seemed muted. The weight of Mia's words lingered in the air, bursting with a mix of anger and anticipation. The manager's brows furrowed, his expression flickering between irritation and surprise. He expected them to cower, to back down. But there they stood, together. Are you suggesting we welcome rebellion in our workspace? He questioned, voice dripping with disdain. This isn't rebellion, Jason responded fiercely. It's a demand for respect and dignity. You treat us like children when we are breaking our backs for this company. The room shifted, nods of agreement rippling through their co-workers. This was it. As they faced their fears together, their voices intertwining into a chorus of unity and resilience, Mia took another deep breath, feeling the flames of determination fueling her. But their courage came with a price. What would be the aftermath of standing firm against the very structure they depended on? Let's cut to the chase, the manager sneered, pointing a finger at them. If you're not with us, you're against us. Decide quickly. Mia felt fear surge within her, but next to her, she saw Jason's jaw set in defiance, Maria's eyes shimmering with conviction. In that moment, it was clear they could either allow fear to conquer them or let their hearts speak for the change they craved. What would they choose? As the weight of the moment bore down on them, Mia wondered if this show of strength could be enough to shift the conversations beyond the boardroom. How far would they all be willing to go to not just stand up but stand firm? The tension hung thick in the air, charged and electric. With the manager's challenge echoing in their ears, they prepared to step into the unknown. What kind of consequences awaited them on the other side of this? Would they truly be united enough to face what lay ahead? The tension in the air was palpable, buzzing like static electricity. Mia stood at the front of the group, her heart racing, yet steady. As she locked eyes with her colleagues, she could feel the unshakable bond forming amongst them, an unbreakable alliance. Enough of your threats, she declared, her voice filled with a strength that surprised even her. We're not backing down. We have every right to demand respect, not only for ourselves but for everyone who puts in hard work in this company. We want a space where our voices are valued. Her words hung in the air, and for a split second, time froze. The manager's expression faltered, just for an instant before he regained his composure. You realize you're risking your jobs here? He asked, feigning indifference. But this time, fear had shifted to resolve. Jason stepped forward, crossing his arms defiantly. You think we don't know the risks? We're already facing a tough situation. This is not just about us, it's about creating an environment where everyone can thrive. The murmurs of support surged like a tide. Mia's heart swelled. Her colleagues were standing in solidarity, a fierce force ignited by a collective desire for change. Time resumed, and the energy erupted into voices raised in agreement. People were sharing their stories, their frustrations, their dreams of a workplace that celebrated rather than stifled them. When the HR rep spoke up, her tone more conciliatory than the manager. Maybe we should consider hearing them out. It's clear there's an underlying frustration which needs to be addressed, she suggested, looking at Mia and the others. It was a flicker of recognition, a glimmer of hope. See? Mia turned to the manager, urgency in her eyes. This isn't rebellion for the sake of chaos. This is a plea for growth, a desire to create something better for everyone. The murmurs grew into a chorus of yes. And we're tired of being ignored. The room shifted again, a palpable sense of solidarity radiating through. Employees from different departments rallied together, and the once vacuumed fear was replaced with exhilaration. The manager narrowed his eyes, visibly frustrated, but changing his tactics. "All right, perhaps we can set up a community forum to discuss these issues. But understand, if it diverges into chaos, we'll have to revisit this conversation," he conceded, pressure in his voice as he glanced around the packed break room, aware of the power shifting in real time. Mia felt her heart race. It was a victory of sorts, but the war was far from over. "Thank you for the opportunity for dialogue. We'll make sure to present our concerns, calmly and effectively," she responded, thankful yet resolute. They were lucky, but this was just the first step. With the meeting dispersing, Mia felt a surge of adrenaline. "We did it. We stood our ground." She cheered, laughing through the waves of emotion as her colleagues embraced one another. They felt lighter, like they had shed the heaviness of fear. As they brainstormed ideas for the upcoming community forum, Mia made it her mission to engage not only her colleagues but also the wider community they represented. The social media campaign inspired countless conversations, nourishing a grassroots movement that aimed to create a culture of respect and accountability. Days turned into weeks as preparations for their forum went into full swing, with testimonies collected and narratives woven. Mia felt that the townsfolk were on their side, bolstering their cause. There was power in unity. Sparks ignited everywhere. The day of the community forum arrived, and as Mia gazed into the audience filled with supportive faces, she felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. This wasn't just about her fight, it was about every single person who dared to dream of a better tomorrow. "Today isn't just a chance to speak our truths," she began, her voice resonating with confidence. "It's about building a future where no one feels invisible in their workplace." The applause punctuated her words, carrying a momentum that could not be ignored. The dialogue between the staff and management set a new tone, emboldened by the brave actions of just one delivery girl willing to expose the underlying issues plaguing their lives. The programmers began to see the people behind their functions. Slowly but surely, a real connection formed. As weeks rolled into months, Mia's relentless pursuit birthed a tangible shift: new policies, open forums every month, and an ongoing dialogue among staff and management. Together, they began unraveling years of systemic apathy. Looking back, Mia felt a profound sense of accomplishment. "We changed this place," she whispered to herself, tears of joy sparkling in her eyes at how the community flourished. The heart of the company now pulsed with life, respect, and understanding, but change is never final. It was an ongoing journey, one paved by resilience and the bravery of standing up for human dignity. In the end, Mia realized she wasn't just a delivery girl. She became a catalyst for transformation, proving that one voice, when brave enough to rise, can unravel walls and construct bridges. Thank you for joining this journey. If you found inspiration in Mia's incredible story, you need to subscribe now to never miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support, so hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and help others discover these transformative tales. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread the message that change starts with us.